Hello everyone, this is Srinivas here. We're going to see a presentation on automated build and deploy. So let us see what are the requirements for this one. The first requirement is that we should start a build whenever there is a file or a service imported into Subversion, which is SVN here. Okay, and the next one is we will start the automation. That we do when we detect a file is checked into SVN is we build a code to a sandbox. Sandbox is nothing but some box where nobody uses. Our intention is to deploy the code into sandbox first, make sure the code is working fine by doing some unit testing, which is also automated. And if everything works fine, then uh, uh, we proceed with that. Okay, we proceed with deploying into SID boxes, PT boxes, etc., etc. If something goes wrong with the testing, then we stop it there itself. In any case, as part of this POC, we have configured to send a mail to the necessary people, but we don't have to do that real time. We can configure multiple targets to send to people, just in case, if in case of failure, who needs to get a mail, we can configure those email address. Similarly, for every case, let it be success, let it be failure, we can send it to few people. So we can trigger multiple cases. We can have multiple cases for sending out an email. Okay, let us see what we require to achieve this. Okay, following are the tools. Data Power Configuration Management. So this is nothing but we call DCM here going forward. It's an open source utility provided by IBM. Okay, we actually use it for automated deployment activities using. Actually, they have used Ant script behind the screen, but we actually use any of those targets by simply accessing through command line. And next one is Docker. Docker is the world's leading software container platform. We'll see what Docker is in the upcoming slides. And what we have is Jenkins later. Jenkins is actually a widely used open source tool for automated build, deploy, and testing also. Jenkins container runs on Docker. Actually, Jenkins is also available as a standalone, but for this uh, requirement, I have used Jenkins as Jenkins on Docker. Okay, and similarly is the SVN server. SVN server is image is also available, which we can install on Docker and run as a container. And Data Power, same is the case with Data Power 2. IBM has provided an image which we can install on Docker and access the data power easily with a container. Okay, and JMeter, this is a testing tool, which is, I mean, everybody might know about this tool. I don't have to give introduction on this testing tool. And the next one is WireMark. This is actually a stubbing tool. Like for unit testing, you don't have to really hit some other server, but this is a standalone package that you can install within your own system, and you can start accessing it. So what we generally do is we generally create some stubs within that tool, and we access those stubs instead of contacting the backend. So we always have the information available, and that will always be available as long as your system is up and running. So let us see those tools more closely what they are. So data power configuration for this implementation, ideally, when somebody uses Jenkins, we go ahead and start writing scripts right from scratch. But for here, actually, I have not written any scripts from scratch, but I used an IBM provided open source, which is Data Power Configuration Manager. Um, that is available in the GitHub as a package, and you can install it and use it for your purposes. There are many tasks available, many targets. I mean, everything is a target there. Okay, you have lots of functionalities available as targets, which are export and importing objects, backing up the device, backing up the domain, backing up certificates, exporting certificates. creating a domain, deleting a domain, and exporting individual files or exporting folders, same way as import. You can also use deployment policies when you're importing or exporting services. But for achieving this, what we have used is a subset of those capabilities, which are check access, export objects, and then export folders. Okay, so only one updation that I have done to that utility. I have used DCM as it is mostly. I have not modified anything, but I have used a package which is called ant contrib, which is a package for the um, ant, and it provides an action called for each action, which I use to loop and import all services. Otherwise, DCM has the capability to to export one single service, but I need all services to be installed the moment Jenkins starts deploying. So for that, I have used for each action. That's the only thing that I have done. Other than that, I used it as it is. So let us see what is that DCM here. So you can see here data power configuration manager, which is available in github.com, and there are one or four commits, which means like uh, the, uh, once the original source code was made available here, there are one or four contributions done to it, which means like they have added extra functionality and then uploaded here, committed here, so that others can access. So if you download this now, you'll get the latest version, and you can see there are six contributors for that one. Okay, this is a really pretty good tool, and they also have an Urban Code Deploy plugin. However, when I'm going to look into that, we don't really require that here. Mm, that's about DCM. Let's see the Docker. We used to have virtual machines once upon a time where they share the hardware, and we used to access each and every uh, uh, software as like in each and every, I mean, individual machine. But here actually we have the operating systems or the applications available as an image, and what we do is we create containers as like they're running instances. Okay, for example, we have data power image given by IBM. So we install that image and we create a container. Okay, you can create as many containers as you want, and that way you feel like you're accessing an individual data power machine. That way, what you can do is you can also develop an application of your own or a project, and you can give that image to anybody. And if somebody wants to do some add-ons to it, some value adds to add some value adds to that, they can do it and create a new image which others can access. So they will have new functionalities available. So we are using SVN Server Jenkins. We are using Data Power as a Docker images here. So this is the Docker actually, and you can see this is the Jenkins image. Okay, image, this is the ID, data, and then Data Power and SVN Server. Chris Davison SVN Server version 2. I used this version 2.0, because I have some issues with version 1.0. So following up on some forums, they suggested version 2.0 is pretty standard, so I use that one. Okay, so you can see Docker has created default mission. You don't have to do much. This itself, the Docker itself will create a machine, a default machine, and it assigned an IP address. Okay, which is 192.168.9900. And if you see here, Jenkins is running, as I told you, Jenkins is running on Docker. So I use the same IP address. So while creating a container, as I told you that we can install an image and create a container. So when you're creating a container, we can assign ports. You can even assign a range of ports. For example, data power. Um, you can assign one port that you use to log on for, and but going forward, when you're using data power, you may need to create lots of services. So you may need lots of ports. So in those case scenarios, when creating a container for data power, you can create a range of ports. Okay, so you can see data power here. I have the same IP address, but the port is 1990. So I also have some ports assigned to it while creating the container. So 2010 to 230, and these are the different ports that I use. 550 for admin activities. Okay, so that's about, and I also have SVN server created, same on Docker. So here is it. This is the port 2003 is the port for that one, and it's the same IP address. Okay, that's about Docker. Um, let's see Jenkins. So Jenkins is an open source automation server, which where we can automate all sorts of tasks such as building, testing, and deploying software. Okay, it can be installed in two formats. One is a standalone, and the other one is Docker. What we have used here is a Docker, as I told you earlier. And one shortcoming with Docker is that Docker version, Docker format is that it cannot access the local system, like C drive, D drive, etc., etc. It will be, it has everything has to be available in the workspace. Okay, but I have some plans to do the same thing on standalone. But since this is the first POC, I did it on Docker version, and we have configured SVN in code management. Okay, set up polling on SVN for every minute. So I have set up polling. Actually, we have configured source code management, which is SVN here, and we poll every minute. I mean, we ideally do not do that in real time, but I did just because this is first POC that I'm doing, and when we create a real time thing, we go as per the standard set by the governance team or any other team. So build is set up using task. Actually, I have created a task called setup, and I use that setup task. That will be the initial task that will be the initial task that will be called upon, and that will call different other tasks and deploy all the code. So I used shell scripting for running JMeter test. All this is done in Jenkins. So let us see what that is. So this is Jenkins. Okay, if you see here, got logged out, so I logged in again. The earlier build has failed, so that is in red color. I mean, these are different jobs actually. Okay, so this job is what we are going to use, continuous integration. CI stands for continuous integration. The latest build have failed. That's the reason you see that in red in color, but the latest builds for these are success. So you see them in a different blue color. But however, you don't worry about. We are not looking into these two jobs. We only look into this continuous integration. So let us go and see um, that job, what it is. So when you want to build something, you'll go for a build now, as long as you want to do a manual build. Okay. So let us go and see what that configuration is I have done for this project. So this is all default. I did not do anything here. The first thing is here. Okay. So source code management. I have chosen Subversion as the source code management, but you have different other options. We're not going for that. I have configured this. Okay, it will start looking into this one. I have given my credentials. So these remaining are all default options here. I have not changed anything. So the next other observable factor is build triggers. Okay, when should a build get triggered? That is when we poll SCM. We have different other scenarios where you can build periodically, build when a change is published to GitHub. However, we want to poll as we want to use this option of polling in SCM. Okay, and here actually you can schedule that in a cron format. Okay, so if you see here, I have given schedule it to run for every minute. So it says, do you really mean every minute when you say to? Yes, I want it for one for every 1 minute. But if you say, so if you see here, spread load evenly by using H. Sorry. So it's saying it's configured. Would last would last have run at Thursday, March 16 to 1759, and then the next one will be scheduled at 6 o'clock. Okay, which means like for every 1 hour that runs. But now I don't. I'm setting up to run for every 1 minute. So it's saying, do you really mean every minute? Yes. For now, it's okay. We'll leave it like that. I will set it for 1 minute. And then comes build environment. We're not going to worry about it. And then build. Okay. So this is how, whenever a poll is done and when it triggers a change, it starts this. Otherwise, if you manually start that, if you manually give a build option there, I mean, you've chosen the option there on the job. So if you have manually triggered a build, then it comes and starts with this. Okay, we have something called setup. Okay, this is the first target. It starts with I mean, if you want some any target, customized target, then you can define the target here. Okay, so I have some options here. I have given the build file. Okay, so my.and.xml under build configuration manager eg start. This is the build file that starts, and it has a it has a target called setup. Okay, that gets triggered, and I have some properties given here. Okay, I have chosen domain as sandbox, dev, etc. I mean environment as dev. These are the different properties, and actually uses lots of properties, so they try to give they try to define everything in the terms of properties. Okay, so we have something called execute shell. So we have deployed, I mean, we have seen how did we configure for sandbox. So once code is deployed into sandbox, our aim is to trigger test cases, kind of unit testing. So we have code in the sandbox. We will have to test that code. So what we do is we trigger JMeter in non-GUI mode, which is this one. Okay. So what we're doing here is we may have some files saved, results file. If you see here, when we trigger this JMeter file, this will create two files. One is results.csv, which actually contains the test results, and HTML results. This is actually used for performance, but we don't really need that here. Okay, so just in case if those files are there, um, uh, those files exist, and if you trigger this command, it will throw an error. So that's the reason we check if those files exist, then we delete them. CSV file is nothing but results.csv, and HTML folder is nothing but HTML results.html. Okay, so we delete them normally, and then we trigger this command. That way, it will create a new set of files. So in a CSV file, actually, it will have one header, and then it will have results. We'll see what that CSV file is later, but for now we'll proceed with this. Okay, we'll proceed looking into the code. So once after that, I look into the error count and success count. Okay, and if error count is greater than 0, I say I'm printing a message. Okay, error count scripts failed. So which means like if 5 scripts fail, then it says 5 scripts failed, and 0 are success. Okay. So similarly for the, I mean, the main factor that we have to remember is the exit. So when I'm running in shell script, so if I want to fail that shell script, then I return 1, okay, which is non-zero. You can return anything, 5, 7, anything. If I have to make it a success, then I give 0. So when shell script exists with 0, which it considers that as successful. So once we deploy code into sandbox, we test it, okay. And now I want to let Jenkins know that it is success. All test cases are success. So then I give exit code 0 depending on after checking various conditions. Okay, so if I want to fail that because this test script have failed, I give an exit code of 1 here. Okay, so while exiting, I'm printing some messages that will be useful for us. This will be a part of the logging. Okay, so that is for testing. So once after testing, just in case if that is successful with 0, exit 0, then we come and deploy the code to Seedbox. It's the same set, it's the same file that I'm running. Only thing is properties changed. So it chooses a different data power box and deploy the same code, which it has done in Sandbox. Okay. So once after everything is done, it goes and sends a mail to required people. Okay, if you see here, I'm saying always. You can also have multiple conditions at the same time, or one single condition which is different from this. You can say only in case of failure. Okay, or you can see all these things only in case of success. Okay, always before build. You have lots of conditions that you can choose, and you can give different. You can give different email IDs. Okay, emails of different people who needs to be there as part of the group. One easy thing is it has given a drop down where it attaches a build log. Okay, so whatever you will see what the build log is. So it will attach that build log with single option. Okay, if you have any other files that you want to send, then customized files, then you can send that. Okay, so I want to send one file which is Apache 3.1 bin test cases results.csv. Okay, so let me also show you this workspace. Okay, so this is the job. Okay, for every job that has its own workspace, depending on how did you configure SCM. Okay, so here you can see. Okay, I have everything. Antlib. Here is where the ant script is available, and then I have Apache JMeter. Um, okay, Apache JMeter. So this is the test services.jmx that is going to run. Okay, so and this is for data for configuration manager. Whatever package that you have seen, I have got them installed here into this workspace. Okay, and then this is our DBPL structure. We'll come to that when we see SVN actually. Okay, this is about Jenkins, and let me show you console output. This is how the console output is. As and when it is building, it creates this console and gives out every message. Okay, but we'll see more on that when we really execute one. Okay, so let us go to the next one, SVN server. So SVN server, we have used Chris Davison version 2 SVN server on Docker, and I can show you how did we configure the files, how the file structure is configured. I also used a Tortoise SVN client to easily access the SVN. Okay, so here is it. I think I have this open. Okay, so here is it. The DBPL folder. We have. This is actually the folder we are interested in. This is where all the code lies. Okay, dpconfig is where all the service config files are. If you see here, login user.xcfg, this is the config file, and we need some properties to be used by ant scripts. So we have those properties set in here. I'm not going to discuss much about this, but we'll see it a little later. And we have loopback sample. These are the properties that we require and are used by DCM, okay, Data Power Configuration Manager. So if anybody is looking into that, you'll come to know about these properties. But I'm not going to discuss about this because that takes a lot of time. Same thing here, UCD demo. So I have totally three services. Okay, login user, loopback sample, UCD demo, and coffee files is actually not a it's not a xconfig service, MPG or WSP, but actually I have some properties, that I define where the location of the folder is. So it deploys this folder. Okay, this folder actually contains all the service files, all the service files, service related files. Okay, this is where we save actually. So I just define some properties here that says where the folder is, and I call a different target for this one. So it will deploy all the files within this folder. It deploys this folder, not individual file. So everything gets deployed in one single shot. So um, uh, it will loop here. First it will deploy this copy files as a service. So the whole folder will be deployed at one single point of time, and then it deploys this login service, login user service, and then deploys loopback sample, and then deploys UCD demo. If you have any more, it will keep deploying until it ends. And if you have any environment related stuff, you can have them here in the environment folder. So that's about SVN. So I'm trying to give you a picture of that here. The same thing here. Okay, so let's go for the next one, which is data power. So for data power, actually, we have two domains in DP, Sandbox and a SIT1, and we have three services: loopback, login service, and UCD demo. So let me see if I have them now. Okay, I only have SIT. Let me. This is what you're going to see is uh, data power configuration manager. Okay, I installed that here and I'm running that as a command line. Okay, this is how we are going to run. Okay, this is the target actually. This is the file that I need to access. Okay, and this is simple command. This is the target actually. Domain delete, domain create is the target. So what I'm going to do is I'm creating a domain now. See how simple it is by running this command. I already have set and I'm going to create a sandbox. So it takes care of everything. It checks the access, and then if everything is good, it creates the domain. So if you see here, it creates a domain sandbox created. So let us go and see that here. You can see that here. Okay. So for now, these two are empty. They do not have any MPG services, or they don't have any files as such, because these are just created. So you don't have any files here. Okay. So the local is completely empty, but we have those two created. Pretty cool. You'll see the services once they are deployed. These three services. I'll show you that once after we do the deployment. Okay, so JMeter. Okay, most of you might know about this JMeter, so I'm not going to tell you what that is. But I can only tell you how are we going to run. We are going to run that in non-GUI mode in JMeter, which I've shown earlier, and it generates results in results.csv file. I'll show you that results.csv file also once after we generate it. Um, so once deployment is done on sandbox, as JMeter tests are run, that we know. Um, and we know about the shell script. We already have discussed about this one. Shell script returns, we have configured such a way that shell script returns 1 in case if there are failures, 0 if there aren't any failures. Okay, so next the other tool is Wiremark. Wiremark is another interesting tool for mocking actually. We may have, we do not want to depend on backends, because uh, backends, people who are testing on the backend in lower level environment, they may keep changing the data. So data may not be consistent. The other backdrop is, uh, backend application may not be available all the time. Okay, so in order to overcome all those, we have something called Wiremark, which mocks the backend, where you can configure where you can stub the responses and you can access them. So it's an open source tool available in two flavors. What we use is standalone. Um, and for this POC, I only have one service, which is login user, that is mocked. So let's go and see what the wire mock is. So wire mock, this is wire mock. Let me stop it, and then run again for you. So by simply issuing this command, you're going to start wire mock. So wire mock is started on port 8080. Okay, so here is it. So I'm accessing localhost 8080. Okay, so earlier one, this is earlier one which has run taken 894 milliseconds. Now this has taken 1380 milliseconds. So you see, I have got the response back on the localhost 8080. Okay, this has taken 47 milliseconds this time. Pretty fast because this has already started. Okay, so let's go and see what did I do for that wire mark. Documents. So here is the wire mark. So I have configured. This is what I have configured. This takes a lot of time. Okay, here actually I have configured this way. The request method is post and URL comes as slash login user. If you see here, this is the slash login user. Okay, so response, I'm saying return 200, and then body file name, I'm just saying you return a file as it is, so which is nothing but login response text. Let's see what that login response text is. So you'll go to files, and then here you will see login user response. Okay. So you can see here, so this is what the response that you get back. Okay, so here I'm using an utility to point to wiremock directly, but what happens real time is a little different. Data power directly points to the wiremock. It's kind of a backend, so data power points to that backend. Okay, so let's go ahead from here. So let us see how does it work finally. Okay, let us put everything together, all pieces together, and see. Okay, so if you see here, we have Jenkins. Okay, and Jenkins will keep polling SVN, and once there are some changes detected, so it will get the SVN changes, and it will start deploying the changes to a sandbox. Okay, so sandbox, as I told you, it is a box that is not used by any other developer. It is just meant for deploying our code and test it there. So we deploy code into sandbox, and then we test using JMeter, and sandbox points to wiremark and test all test cases there. Okay, once it is done, if everything goes fine, if it is successful, then we deploy them to seed boxes. Seed, you hear that word carefully, seed boxes. It can be multiple instances of a seed box. It can be multiple instances of PT. It can be anything in lower level environment. So it will deploy to those boxes and then sends the mail server. Sorry, and then sends mails to the required people. Okay, so that is how it goes. So you hopefully you have got, everybody would have got an idea on what this is, how does it work. So let me go ahead and start. So we have Wiremark up and running. Uh, we have JMeter set up. We have data power. We have all the domains that are required. So I have changed this a bit here to make sure this runs every minute. And I click on apply. And if you go and see here, let me go back. Seedbox, sandbox, which is completely empty. And then seedbox, which is also empty because these domains are newly created, and my mailbox is empty without any report. Okay, let me save this. What I'll do is I'll save a small file. Uh, so these are some files that I just kept for doing some POC here to check whether the deployment, how the deployment goes. Um, but I don't really need this. So the moment I change this, once I commit this, this build should get triggered. Okay, so this looks fine. Let's go and see. Let's wait for a minute. So if you see here, the build has started. Pretty cool. So let's go and see what is happening in the console output. So if you see here, so we have something called setup, and that is calling set service name. Okay, and set service name is actually a looped over. If you, okay, and that in turn calls the actual target given by the DCM, which is input from def. Okay, that that actually deploys the service. Okay, the first service deployed is loopback sample, so it loops in and then goes for the another set service name, and it deploys the copy files. Okay, copy files actually is not a service, but we made it as a service by giving some definitions. Okay, um, and to make you more clear, let me explain you this one. If you see, this is the setup toggle that I'm talking about. Okay, and for each and contrib, this is we are defining the task here, and contrib from the and contrib. So for each, actually, we are calling set service name target. Okay, so it loops on the dpconfig directory, which is all services. Okay, and pass the parameter, the actual directory name as the parameter. So what happens is that comes here. Okay, this is called looped for each directory. Okay, um, and then set service name, this target. If that is equals to copy files. Okay, if that's the name of the directory. Okay, which is actually in referred to as service. If that is equal to copy files, okay, then we call upload directory target defined by DCM, the data for configuration manager. It uploads the whole directory as it is with files. Okay, otherwise it calls import changed. So this import changed is another target that will deploy the file. Okay, so that is exactly what is happening here. So upload directory is one of the other files. Okay, other service. So since I said copy files, upload directory gets triggered, and if you see, as per the properties I have defined, it is deploying the whole folder. If you see that all these are individual files actually. So after this deployment of files, set service name is looped again with serving different service login user. Okay, and the same thing again for UCD demo set service name. Okay, and after this should have completed the build. Let us see the status of the build. So if you see, build is successful. Okay, and then it triggers the next jmeter, which is a jmeter file test.jservices.jmx. And if you see, there are three test cases. Okay, test case 1, test case 2, test case 3, and you can see the average time. Okay, and all the scripts are successful. 0 failed and 3 are success. Okay, as a result, it goes and deploys to the other box. Okay, which is sit. You can see the command here. Okay, it calls the setup target, and the same thing goes here. From setup, it loops set service name and deploys all service. Excuse me. And what happened is the finally it sends a mail, okay, to the mail I have given. So here is it. Okay, 179 build number, and the build number we were looking at is 179. So let's go and see what it has sent. See, it has sent two attachments. This build log actually we have given by giving the drop down. So what this build log contains is nothing but the same. Whatever you see here, all this log is sent here as part of a build log. Okay. So and the other one is results.csv. We have manually configured this. Okay. If you see here, all the test cases are true here. It's pretty good. So let's go and see what happened in the data port domain. Let's go to sandbox first. Okay, if you see here, all clicked on all services and you got all three services. Let's go and see the file management. Okay, so here if you see, we have all the files deployed. Okay, so this is pretty cool. And let's go and see the service might be down in sit domain. That's because it's the other domain with the same port number. I have not defined any deployment policies, but this is pretty usual and it's something expected. We don't care. But in the real time, you may not have the same box with two domains, but obviously it will be two physical boxes. Or with deployment policies, we change the port number, so the service will be up and running. So now it shows error, but don't worry about it. If you see here, even in SIT, the service got deployed, and let's go and see the files. Sorry. Okay, here is it. Everything got deployed. Okay. So now let us do one more testing before we conclude. This test case should fail. Okay, then our code should not get deployed to Sitbox. Okay, so let us do that. Five. Let's save it. Let's see the result tree. Let's create everything. Run it. So see, the login is REST failed. So the same file, if it is executed from shell script, that should fail. Okay, let's go and commit that file. Actually, I accessed this file here. Okay, in JMeter. So I did this. Open, and then if you see here the path, SVN workspace automation, Apache JMeter, bin test cases, and JMeter.txt. Okay, so I added the same file, so that got a change here. If you see, you can see here the change. So I'm going to commit it now. Change it to fail the build. Okay, cool. So I changed it. Let me delete sandbox. So that got deleted. Now let me so deleted both. The reason I deleted both is because I want to show you where are the files getting deployed and where are they not. Create. Okay. Okay, cool. So that will get created. Okay, done. So we now have all the domains. Okay, if you see all services, no services deployed there. Set no services. So let me manually run the build for now. Sorry, this will fail now. Let's go and see the console output. So the services are getting deployed into sandbox, domain into domain sandbox, usually domain chip into domain sandbox. Okay, build is successful. Let us see the test cases. Now, ideally, the test case should fail. It says error, error. If you see here, the login service one script has failed and two are success. Okay, so failure, and it has sent a mail to the mail ID given. Okay, so the build is 181. Go and see there. It's a fail. See, it has failed. So as a result, it has not deployed to sandbox. So let's go and see what is in sandbox. Sandbox, you see, there are services deployed perfectly. Let's go and see what is in SIT. Okay, so if you see, there are no services. MPG protocol gateway, no services. Those are not deployed to SIT because a script has failed. Okay, fine. This concludes the presentation. If you have